there's a very popular saying that you can vote yourself into communism, but you can't vote yourself out of communism. And that definitely applies to what happened in Venezuela recently. For those of you who don't follow the news, Venezuela is not doing very great when it comes to the happiness of its own citizens as well as the well being. There was massive poverty, there were people going hungry while the great dear leader was stuffing his face on television. I'm not even kidding. He was actually talking about people going through hunger, and he was eating a donut while that was taking place. He's not a very popular individual, so a lot of people expected that he would lose these elections. But unfortunately, these elections took a very interesting turn. It just so happens that the justice system started persecuting a lot of the opposition members as well as their staffers. Many were found of committing various crimes and they were locked up. Many of them were taken off the ballot to make sure that they can't compete. On top of that, you had polling stations that suddenly stopped counting the votes. I guess they may have gone a little bit sleepy, a little bit tired, but it's okay. Once they restarted counting the votes, as you can see, there was a big F there. And you also had intimidation. Police didn't allow objective observers to witness the count. Many things that don't happen in civilized countries, right? Like something like that would never happen in the United States. But what's also interesting is that many people say that there is zero evidence of anything going wrong. I really love it. It's the framing, right? Like zero, like not even one, just not even a single shred of evidence. Zero evidence, and this is the day after the election, so I don't know how they managed to even do an investigation. I don't even know how they managed to collect the evidence, but apparently they found zero. So, it seems that the current president is going to remain in power, probably for 4 more years, much to the dismay and horror of the Western press, because they're saying that these weren't fair elections. Elon Musk himself actually said that on Twitter. He doesn't believe that the elections were legit. But, hopefully social media is going to come to our aid. Hopefully YouTube is going to ban anyone that suggests that there was any type of malarkey in the Venezuelan elections, because, there is zero evidence. But the important thing is to remind ourselves what Venezuela was and how did it get to the point where it is now. Because it's very interesting. You see, I remember Bernie Sanders was the US politician which actually told the world to look at Venezuela as a beacon of hope, as a beacon of progressive ideology, as a model for other nations to follow. And people actually did look at Venezuela, and after a while Bernie Sanders was like, okay, look away, stop looking, because people didn't like what they saw. So the history can be summed up as this. In 1992, it became the 3rd richest country in the hemisphere. And this is pretty much what's happening all of the time. Like when countries become too wealthy, they become bored. And when people become bored, they start their first world problems, which are kind of aptly named, because they're named as a joke. It's like it's a first world problem. It's something that's mundane, but the reality is that first world problems end up with conclusion more drastic than the third world problems. In fact, the first world problems should transform into third world problems the moment you actually vote socialists into office. In 1997, it became the 2nd largest purchaser of F-150. So basically, they had a lot of money to spend. And in 2001 is where it all started. They voted for socialist president in order to fix income inequality. I think they fixed it because now most people are equally poor. I mean, sure, they didn't fix it 100% because the inner party members, they're still rich. But overwhelmingly, most people are a lot more poor now, so they did do this campaign promise. Private healthcare being completely socialized. It's kind of unfair though, you know, when you live a life where you take care of yourself, you manage to stay on a diet, you work out, you make absolutely sure that you're not going to do anything that jeopardizes your health so you need a hospital. And then you have someone else that is a chronic drinker, gets liver disease, gets kidney disease, and now your taxpayer money has to pay for that person that you don't know. And they're not even grateful for you. So, like, how is that fair? Why is that a thing that is allowed? Why is that equitable? I still haven't heard the answer to that. But again, like, many people love this system. They absolutely love it when the people that take care of themselves have to pay for the ones that don't. And if you actually look at the breakdown and you see who uses the medical system, it becomes even more interesting. But that's probably something for another video. Higher education becomes free. Right. This is like if printing diplomas can end stupidity. This is why I hate it. Like, I understand when you have public education so everyone can read and write. But the reality is when the government is in charge of education, they're not going to be interested in teaching you to read and write. They're going to be interested in teaching you the government propaganda. They want your children to keep supporting the establishment. That is what happens when you have free education. And what's even worse is that when you say that everyone has free higher education, then they get stuck into the education system almost forever. Because now the higher education also, which is sponsored by the government, will support that particular government. And when everyone has the higher education become meaningless. Because again, you're printing mass diplomas. You're not ending human stupidity. Socialists ban private ownership of guns. Very interesting. This is when the Bernie Sanders praises their American dream. Opposition leaders are imprisoned. Again, I'm really glad this doesn't happen in countries like the United States. I mean, this is something like Russia. I could see it happening. I could see it happening in Venezuela, but not in decent countries. This is where the food and healthcare shortages become widespread. Constitutional elections are suspended, and the unarmed citizens get massacred by the own government, which is something that they deny even today. So it only took one generation, and as we discussed, there is no voting out of it. So, where did it go wrong? Was it the confiscation of guns? Was it the free shit? Take into account that free shit isn't really free. It's basically taking it from someone else. The government does not produce wealth. They take money from other people in order to give it to others, but they also give it to them first, right? So, like, the government first gives themselves the money that they took, and then what's left, they give it to others, if anything even remains. So yeah, this is the history of Venezuela. It's very sad. I don't know how they're going to get out of this predicament. Apparently, they did try to vote, and they did have record number of attendance. They had people that fled Venezuela coming back just to be able to vote. And despite all of that, it seems that it wasn't enough. So, yeah. If you're from Venezuela, I don't know what to say. I'm really sad. I hope the situation improves. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.